Hi guys. Okay, so I know I was already on today, but I had a request from someone that I thought I really wanted to get on and do a response to the questions that they asked because it was a young person. It was somebody who was 17 and lives in a house that is obviously like evangelical Christian and is worried about, how do I practice what I'm starting to believe in when I live in this house and they may reject me or get mad or all that kind of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about being a witch in the closet. So first of all, I want to tell you that you're not alone. There are lots of witches that are in the closet that don't come out to their family and friends, and there's lots of different reasons for that. So if you look, Witchvox has been, wow, it has to be one of the oldest sites since the internet came around. Witchvox, V-O-X, Witchvox, is a site that does all kinds of stuff for the witch community. For one thing, they have a great map service. So not all, obviously, if you don't know about it, but a lot of witches know about this site, and they will list any covens that they have by where they are. So if you go in, let's say I live in New York, so I would look up New York, and then I would click in the Rochester area, and it would tell me any covens that are in the Rochester area, how to get a hold of them, if they are open covens, meaning they are open to having new members, or if they're not right now. So that helps because then you kind of get a little bit of support from your community. So that's good. But they did a survey of all their members saying, when you were in the closet, or if you were in the closet now, first of all, name why you were in the closet. So 25% of witches said they were in the closet because they were afraid of loss of family support. So 25%, a quarter of witches who are in the closet are in the closet because they're afraid of losing support from their family. And especially if you are underage, if you are under 18, I can see where that would be a big problem if you're living in a household that is especially an evangelical Christian household, because they are not known for being tolerant of other religions. So you may feel that you can't come out to them. And if that's the case, then that certainly is something that you have to think about. There was the other reasons were 16% were afraid of physical harassment. 13% were afraid that they would lose their job. 7% over child custody. So like their spouse or their ex-spouse, they were afraid. And that has happened. I've heard of people losing their children because they stand up and say that they are pagan or Wiccan. Hopefully that doesn't happen as much anymore, because it is a constitutional right to practice whatever religion you want. But we all know that that's not necessarily means that it's enforced that way. Even I have to say, even my husband, who I love and is very supportive, said to me, I think you make a bigger deal out of this than needs to be. I don't think there's anybody out there anymore who doesn't understand what paganism is about. And I said, yeah, I don't think you quite understand, especially in the south of the United States, if you're in the United States, the Bible Belt, so-called. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things. First of all, before you decide to come out, do your research, especially if you're a young person. That doesn't mean that if you're a young person, you can't feel called to be a witch or a Wiccan or a pagan. You most certainly can. And a lot of people start their path out when they're teenagers. But you want to do your research to make sure before you go upsetting your family and your dynamic of your household that this is really the path you want to be on. So get some books. If you are afraid to bring books in the house, then the internet is your best bet. And I'll be saying that a lot. The internet is a lot different than it used to be. It's a huge support where we didn't used to have that when we first started out back in the day. Before there was internet, we didn't have all that support with us in order to be able to practice without the physical stuff in front of us. I'm going to talk about, there's a book called When Someone You Love is Wiccan. And that also applies to paganism. I just got a book recently in one of my recent book hauls, and of course I was going to get it out and I forgot. That dealt with the same thing. Hold on, let me see if it's right here. Darn it. Yay, I found it. So it's called Pagans and Christians, The Personal Spiritual Experience. And that is written by a doctor in political theory. So that book will help you to explain it to each other. And I have read reviews on this. I haven't read it yet, but I read reviews on this book in particular that said that Christians had read it and said, I finally kind of understood where pagans were coming from. So that's good. So, get books from the library if you decide you're ready to come out to someone. And there is a link that I will put in the down bar here that is called For Concerned Parents. And that is for parents of teenagers who have decided to come out. You can direct them to this link, and it kind of talks a little bit about what paganism is about, that it's not a, satanic thing. Some tips: if you're going to come out to your parents, try to focus on what you do believe in. Don't start out with, it's not devil worship, because that's all they will hear is the devil thing, and they won't get off of it. So start out with what you do believe in. I believe in the cycles of nature. I believe that everyone is connected through energy. I believe, start out with what you do believe in, not what you don't believe in. It's much easier to go from that. And don't come out until you really have done your research and know that this is the path for you. Because you don't want to go through all this and then later on decide, it's too much work. I don't want to do that. And nobody would begrudge you if you did. When you're a teenager, you're trying out all kinds of stuff to try to see where your path is leading you. And that is completely normal. And I love to have teenagers on this path. Believe me, I'm not saying this is not for you. I'm just saying make sure that you think this is actually your path before you disrupt everything. Study, 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 study. So that's my biggest thing, is make sure that you understand what this religion is about, because you want to be able to answer questions. So if that's something you decide you want to come out to your family, make sure that you can answer those questions. Think of what questions they are going to ask you and how you want to answer that. So if they say, well, what do you believe in about God? Well, what do you want to say to that? There are Christian witches. Is that what you want to be? There are witches who believe in straight nature, that there is no gods. Is that what you want to believe? Make sure that you can answer all those questions so that you know what you're talking about before you get into that discussion with them. Okay. Let's say you're staying in the closet, though. You've decided you're not ready to come out to your family. You don't want to disrupt them. And I will tell you, I did say in my response, my quick response to this person's question, that not that I stayed in the closet, but my grandfather was a huge influence in my life. And he was wholly and completely Catholic. Completely. We used to spend the entire summer with him at their cottage on the lake. So as soon as school let out, we went to the lake with my grandparents, and we spent the entire summer on the lake with my grandparents. And the entire time we were on the lake, which was maybe 100 miles from where we live, every Sunday morning he would take us kids to Catholic Mass at the church that's out near the lake. because he did not miss a Sunday. At our home base church, he was what they call a lector. So he would read the readings, or he would pass out the gifts, or pass out the baskets for the money, or he was very involved with church. And wherever we lived, like when my parents would move around, he would drive out on Sundays to come and get us, to take us to the church in our town and go to his church at a different time. He was very, very Catholic. And he loved us dearly, and I loved him dearly. And because of that, I made certain concessions. I didn't want to upset him. A, because he was older, and B, because I respected him so much. I didn't think it was worth a fight for me to say, I don't believe in your faith anymore. He knew that I didn't go to church anymore, and that I was talking about nature stuff, and I did stuff out in nature. But things like when my oldest children were born, he was very upset and worried that they wouldn't be baptized into the Catholic Church, because he truly believed that, which is so ridiculous to me, but that's beyond the point, that if children were not baptized and they died for some reason, that they would not get into heaven because they weren't baptized. How ridiculous does God have to be to put kids, babies who haven't done anything, in the other place because we didn't say words over them and sprinkle water on their head? Whatever. Anyways, I had my oldest children baptized in the Catholic Church so that he wouldn't be upset about it. So there's nothing wrong with, not creating a big, huge fight within your family. If you think that's what's going to happen and you are not prepared to do that, don't do that then. That's okay. It's your path. You have to walk your path the way you want to walk it. So let me give you some tips for staying in the closet. If you're a person who decides, I'm not ready to come out, but I still want to practice, here's some tips. First of all, like I said, the internet is huge. That means your cell phones, your smartphones are huge too. There are apps, a trillion different apps that you can download that will help you with spells, that will help you with tarot. There's all kinds of free tarot apps that will help you pull a card a day, so you don't have to walk around with tarot cards if you don't want to. There's a great site for young people, especially for if you're teenage age, called Amino. Amino. And there's a group within that site called Pagans and Witches that has a lot of young people in there, and you can talk to them about what you're going through, and they'll be able to give you suggestions too. Look to nature for whatever it is you want. Get a stick, whittle down a stick, and make that a wand if you want. I would suggest getting an altar that you can either hide away, or putting it into a box that you can put a lock on it, like one of those little locks. So I put together a little kit of this is stuff you can find anywhere. I just put into a cigar box. I spent 2 minutes to look around. And so what do I have in here? Okay, so this is a little star, and it has a sticker on the back. So it was probably, look at, this is little star Post-it notes. So just draw the outline of your pentacle in there, and you can have a little pentacle for your little altar. Okay. I put 2 tea light candles in here. One for the god and one for the goddess. And you can add another one for your fire. To me, the elements are very important. So on my altar, I always have some kind of representation of the elements. So I would have a candle for fire. I put in one of our little chicken feathers. That's for air. A stone, and it does not have to be, a stone that you bought. Go out and get a river rock. River rocks are full of energy, and they're gorgeous rocks. They're nice and smooth, so you can hold them and ground yourself, feel that energy. That is for earth. And then I got a little teeny bottle that I've had for a long time. You can find these anywhere, guys. At Walmart, they're like 50 cents, or Michael's. little teeny bottles for 50 cents or $1 or something. Put water in there, and that's your water element. Or a shell. There's shells everywhere. I put little teeny, now these little tin ashtrays, you can get these at all kinds of places too. I have a bunch of them, so I put them in there because I'm always fire safety to put the candles in, so you know that they won't, catch on fire, or the wax won't get around. I put, remember I was talking about a stick for a wand? So this is one of the original wands that my children made when they were little, and they happened to be a fire element. I'm an air element. They happened to be a fire element. So they whittled down, they took the bark off of a stick, they sanded it down so it was nice and smooth, sanded down the edge so there was a point to it, and they put it in the fire so that it would have a little bit of the fire element to it, and they used this for their wand for years. And then kind of left it behind, and I still have it because I will never get rid of it. To me, that's very sacred. That was one of the first pagan things that my children did, was to make themselves wands. And then go to Goodwill or something, even Walmart, like I said, if you want, get a little, see this little frame? I probably paid 50 cents for it or something at a thrift store. I get a ton of these. I have a ton of these little frames because I think they're so useful. You can print out a picture of your god or goddess that you like, that you want to be your patron or matron god or goddess, and put it in this little frame and put it on your altar. That's it. You don't even need that, but if you want to have a little altar, that's how easy it is to just make something that will be helpful for you. You put it on the top of this box when you want to do a ritual, and you light the candle and you say a little prayer to whatever god or goddess you want to, call in the elements, and make yourself a sacred ritual. It doesn't have to be some big ornate altar like I've shown in other videos. It doesn't have to be that. That's the point of my channel, is to say you don't need all that stuff if you don't want all that. Okay. So make it, if you're going to have a little altar box, make it a smaller thing that you can hide easily. So now you're saying, I'm 17, I don't have access to my own space. When am I going to be able to pull this altar out? Well, you know what? You have a bathroom that has a lock on it. So draw yourself a bath, lock the door, bring your little altar box, light a candle, and do your little ritual in a bath. One of the best rituals that you can do, and I do it whenever I step into the shower, is as you're washing yourself, you spiritually cleanse your soul too. Just say a little incantation of, Goddess, I want you to clear me and my chakras and my energy of any energies that I no longer need, that I'm hanging on to needlessly, that I can get rid of at this point. And I want to just watch them go down the drain and just renew my energies with the energies that I need for the day. Allow those earth roots to come up through your feet and just re-energize and rejuvenate yourself every time you take a shower or bath. Or pull out your ritual box and say a little ritual. There are lots of different ways to do that. So this necklace in particular is a half moon. It's a little Swarovski crystal that is a half moon. And that doesn't necessarily scream, I'm a pagan. It means a lot to me because Mother Luna, Mama Luna, to me, I absolutely adore Mother Luna, and I go out there as much as I can to bathe under her light and energy. But that doesn't scream, I'm a pagan, because you have a moon. Jewelry that you can use, a leaf. There's leaf jewelry out there everywhere. A flower, anything with nature, a tree, the tree of life. Jewelry that has to do with nature, or stones. There's lots of stone bracelets, hematite bracelets, and that kind of thing. Anything that has to do with nature does not necessarily scream out that you're a pagan. It just means that you enjoy nature. There's nothing that Christians could point to and say, oh, that's evil. Not that they shouldn't be able to point to a pentacle either and say, oh, that's evil. But we all know that happens. So that is just a couple of tips. Hopefully that will help you to begin to practice for yourself. When you get to a point that you feel like you need to come out, then read up on it a little bit. I will link that that article called For Concerned Parents in the down bar, so that you can always give them that link and say, here, this is what I am starting to believe in. This is what I am practicing. It's nothing bad. I really enjoy nature. I feel like the cycles of the earth and the moon and the solar system and the planets are right in sync with my energy. I feel like we're all connected. There's nothing that people should be able to say that's horrible. So if you guys have any other helpful tips, feel free to leave them in the comments. I just wanted to come on just to let this person in specific know that you're not alone. That there are other people out there who have to be in the closet for a while, and that's okay. You can keep practicing. You just have to do it, a little bit on the down low. And I certainly wouldn't lie about what you believe in too. You can say, I'm a little up in the air about what I believe in. But as a teenager, you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be seeking out your truth and not necessarily your parents' truth. This is the time when teenagers in general, in everything you do, are testing your parents' belief systems and trying to stand in your own truth. So you can, just say, I'm kind of testing the waters out. I'm finding my own truth. And hopefully they'll allow you a little bit of room to do that. If there's anything else I can do for you, let me know. I hope that helped you in particular and you as a whole, my little community out here. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask, no problem. And Sunday night. So I wanted to say too about the full moon, because I did post about the full moon yesterday and people are posting about it today also. The full moon, you can celebrate the full moon the day before the full moon, the day of the full moon, and the day after the full moon, because that energy is very similar. The full moon actually was at 7:23, I believe, this morning. And so last night's energy, tonight's energy, and as a matter of fact, tomorrow's energy is very close to that. And so you can celebrate for 3 days. You can celebrate the full moon energy. So that means if you want to charge your crystals, charge some moon water, just go out and soak in the goddess Mama Luna's energy. That's great. I really tend to enjoy when it's this time of year and it's still warm outside and you can just kind of go out and sit and be with that energy. I love that. So yay. I hope everybody's had a great weekend. It's Sunday night, so here we go into another week. And I hope the start of your week is just as wonderful as it can be. Blessings.